Let me say something that can be considered radical, that can be considered counterintuitive, but to some extent it is true. You have been living with a stranger and you've been calling that stranger your loved one, so called loved one, right? We're told that our loved ones include our families, which include our parents, uh, our siblings, or our children, and our spouse. And from there comes the community, and from there comes other people, co-workers, and then the last stage of not relating to anyone would be to call that person a stranger. We have to think about this differently, and I'll break it down. I'm not a sociologist, I'm not an academic, so putting these ideas across is going to be a little difficult. And since I shoot my videos without much preparation or without a script, I need you to listen to me carefully. When we call someone a stranger, we say that we don't relate to them at any level and they don't know anything about us. So it would make sense to say they're a stranger. The biggest mistake in this line of thought is thinking that one person is just one person. That on a psychological level, one person is many people because of the different roles they play. The same person can be a spouse to someone, a father to someone, uh, an office colleague. These are different roles, and these roles require you to show up differently. But all of them are an aspect of you. You cannot take any one particular role and say that's the entirety of who you are. So you go about life and you show up differently to different people depending on what your role is. Now, let's bring that argument back to who we call family or loved ones. You probably do not know who your parents are as colleagues or co workers. If you are a child, or if your identity is that of a child of your parents, you only know your parents in the capacity of being parents. In rare cases, you would know them as business partners in case you run the family business. But let's say they are employed and they have a different workplace, there is an aspect of them that you're completely unaware of. And it could be true that a lot of who they are is identified with the work that they do. And if that is the case, you are unacquainted with a huge part of who they are, which in some sense makes you a stranger to them and them a stranger to you. Think about it. If I go to another country, I am a foreigner because I'm not from that land. I don't know the customs of that place. I don't know the likes and dislikes of those kind of people. And even if I try to imitate them, somehow I don't fit in. So if your parents would be very passionate and devoted to a certain line of work, and that doesn't have any meaning to you, you won't know how to relate to them in that capacity. Now let's extend the example. Does your parent know who you are as a colleague? Does your parent know who you are as an artist, in case you love to write, in case you love to paint? There are aspects of yourself that is different from just being progeny. However, you've always related as a child. You probably don't know what it is like to relate to your parent as a peer, because there's always been that role that was created. So there are aspects of you that your friends see, that your cousins see, but that your parents never get to witness because you're stuck in that role. And the reason I'm bringing this to your conscious is that in order to make someone feel seen, heard, or understood requires you to admit the depth of who they are in various roles that they have in life. If you don't do that, you don't get to see the complete human being. And as a result of that, even though you call them your loved one, they are factually a stranger to you because there is a part of their psyche that you're unfamiliar with, that you've not chosen to understand, or that you've not had the opportunity to understand because you were not within those circumstances. So keep in mind that you don't know the entirety of who someone is, even though you're really close to them. And I will extend this example and even say that you are a stranger to yourself to some extent, because there are things you do without knowing why you're being drawn to that things. Sometimes you don't know why you feel the way you feel. And knowing all this, while initially feels like a load on your back, is necessary. And the reason it is necessary is we always try and straitjacket the people we know in the capacity that we know them. So an employer only knows the employee in the capacity of them performing work for the company in generating revenue or doing the task that is required. A spouse may know their spouse a lot deeper. However, if they don't love the work that their spouse does, or if they don't understand what their spouse does, even if they are a very supportive person per se, to a certain degree, they're a stranger. This is hard to admit, and it breaks a lot of illusions of connection that we share with people. But living in illusion has its own price to pay, which is not immediate but does unfold over a period of time. I don't have conclusions to draw from this video. I don't have any lessons to impart. But giving you a new perspective is vital.